Good evening and welcome to the Medium channel. Welcome to another spiritual awakening interview. And today we have Lisa, oh my God, Esposito. I almost forgot your last name, Lisa Esposito. I had to remember old hockey players to remember that. So, how are you doing tonight, Lisa? And thanks for coming here.
I'm well. Thank you, Adam, for having me. This is such a pleasure to be here and share my experience.
Oh, I thank you. We're all so grateful, and spiritual awakenings happen in so many different ways, so many different forms, so many different levels. And at some point, a few months ago, I decided to just bring people on that have had spiritual awakening experiences because the Medium channel, the way it got set up when Spirit told me to start this channel at the end of 2019. Yeah, they encourage me to create a community where people that are starting to awaken will have a safe place, an authentic place to come to, and uh, and it's happening as the 2020s go on. A lot of people are having spiritual awakenings. A lot of people are confused and lost. So with these interviews, we get to listen to different people's stories and how vast different awakening experiences can be, as vast as there are people. Like mine was very spontaneous, the first one anyway. Other people happen much more slowly. And as people have spiritual awakenings, it doesn't necessarily mean they're all of a sudden going to become the next Eckhart Tolle, or travel the world as an energy healer. In fact, oh God, what was his name? The person, Joshua, the man that I had last week. He's very spiritual and very enlightened, and his job is as a caterer. So it doesn't mean that your whole life is going to. I mean, it does, but yeah, also Eckhart Tolle gives some good insight in his book. I think it was A New Earth. It might have been The Power of Now, where he talked about two different types of spiritual teachers. The one that gets up in front of large groups, like Mother Amma and Eckhart Tolle, for that matter. And then another type might be your local butcher or cab driver that just happens to pick up you're having a bad day and just happens to give you the right information, the right time, and may even do a little energy healing that you're not even aware of. And they just exist within society. So on that note, let me say a few quick hellos. Angela, Jody, Susan, Laura, Claire, and Roseanne are so far the only ones that have chimed in. And let's get back to Lisa for a second. And how did you awaken, if I may ask?
Of course. Well, I don't want to sound pompous or anything, but I was kind of born with with a little bit more consciousness than other children. I was aware from a very young age that I had certain abilities. I like to call them abilities because everyone has these, correct? Um,
Mhm.
so I was born with this, and later on in life, I learned to develop them more. I will say, though, that around 2010, my life was upside down. It was pure turmoil, and I didn't like the me that I was. So I guess I was there in that dark shadow, right? I was doing shadow work, and I really wasn't aware of it. And it took a couple of years. It was pretty extensive for me. I was going through depression, I was grieving, and I didn't know what was happening. But there was a breakthrough when I met Dr. Stacy Lamar, and I'll give her a lot of credit. When I put my dad into her nursing home, Sadie's Place, a loving place, and through her, through her work and through her events, I met Brett Bevel, shaman and master Reiki practitioner. And ever since then, I'm going to say that was in 2019, my life did a 360. And that's when I was able to kind of hone in on my spiritual abilities and really focus and zoom in. And from there, everything just started developing more and more. So it was a great turnaround.
Wow. Well, of course, we had Dr. Lamar on the channel about a month ago talking about her awakening story. And although I've never worked with Rep Bevel, I know of him. He's well known in the spiritual community in the Hudson Valley for excellence of work and service. So we know that you've been in really good hands, with
Oh,
that.
yes. Also through Dr. Lamar, I met Margaret Donor. She's a
Oh yes, well, I know her too.
beautiful soul, beautiful. So yeah, I've came across some wonderful people, and now I met you.
We may need to reach out to Margaret Donor and ask her if she'd like to be interviewed here.
Be wonderful.
And I've sat in on our Archangel channeling sessions. They're very powerful, and she gives a lot of insight
Yes.
into things also. So that's really, really good. So you were mentioning that you came into the world with a lot of gifts. I mean, we all do, but some to much greater extent than others. I think in my case, it's more a matter of remembering those gifts because and we're all raised differently, but I'm in my 60s. I was raised in the 1960s. Yeah, talking about ghosts and people that have passed on and past lives just didn't go over so well in my family. And there's a big, like, we'll just say hush hush, don't talk about this. We don't want to institutionalize you. Although by the time I was 4 years old, I was seeing a child psychologist, and I
Mm,
basically shut all that down. I forgot all that, and by the time I was in high school, all I cared about was fitting in, which was like the biggest exercise in futility. But in any event, so you came into the world with a lot of gifts. Now, as you had your awakening, did you find that those gifts got stronger, or that you started to develop new gifts, maybe? Or
yes, those abilities did get stronger, and as I kept on working on myself, um, new abilities started to awaken as well over the last couple of years. And in the beginning, I didn't know what was happening. I was during meditation. I would get like messages, and there would be like this chatter going on, and I didn't understand. And it would be like, like you try and tune into a radio station. It's like all these conversations coming in and out, and it made no sense to me. And I didn't know what was happening for the longest time until I found out. I'm like, wait a minute, the spirits are communicating, but I have no idea what they want to say to me. So I reached out to you, if you can recall, in that message, and you told me, what I needed to do, and I fine tuned it. Thank you so much, Adam. And now I'm able to channel in a much more direct way angels and spirits.
and you do energy healing as well, yes?
Do energy healing, correct?
Good.
That was something that I decided to do last year, and that also turned my life around. Reiki, I can't say enough about Reiki. I've grown into such a passion for Reiki, and I want to advocate it to the world how life changing Reiki can be. It's a lifestyle, indeed it is.
Sure, like any other bona fide spiritual path, it's a way of life. It's not just a practice, it's a whole life. Like I explain to people, mediumship is a 24/7 practice. I'm working in my sleep even, and I'm getting up doing my morning routines, doing my meditations, doing my yoga, my breath. So I definitely get it. So also what I wanted to ask is, if any challenges came up, and if you would like to describe those. I know spiritual awakening is not always easy for people.
No, Adam, it's not easy. Doing shadow work um,
Mm,
is really, you're facing the most darkest parts of you, and only you and the creator know what those darkest parts are. And it's not easy to face because you see yourself transitioning, and you see yourself doing things and saying things and thinking things that are don't necessarily align to your core. So it's like this force, like this kind of pressure is like, well, what am I doing? Correct. So for me, that's when I went into a depressive mode, because at my core, I was not being the person that I knew that I was. at a certain time in my life. Um, so I was debating a lot with myself. There was this void, and religion didn't fill it at all. Not to say that I was much of a religious person, but I grew up Roman Catholic, and religion just was not filling that void. And I was just trying to find myself and trying to heal myself, finding methods. Well, what is going to work for me to so that I can improve and become a better person, a better mother. Um, and it took a lot of time. I really don't want to go into the details, but it's not an easy task to take on. So and there's no right or wrong way for healing. Just like for meditating, people think that it has to be one way. No, there is no right or wrong way. Whatever suits you is how you need to heal and move forward and transcend whatever challenges it is that you're going through.
Yeah, yep. That's very well explained. And people, you need to be aware when you have an awakening, you have a paradigm shift, and things don't seem the same. And mine was in very fast and spontaneous. I'd been doing martial arts and Tai Chi about several months or so, and I was out bike riding, and just like a flash of light, and it was kind of like everything's a lie. That was my insight. It's like all this is not real, it's a lie. But it was 1978. It's like, who do you turn to? I started to feel vibrations in my body, the base of my spine. I didn't know anything about kundalini. I was asking people, do you feel that there's an earthquake? And basically their response was, oh, what are you smoking, Adam? Because whatever it is, we want that. Hand it over.
Of
Yeah.
course. And it makes it more difficult when there's a taboo, correct? Or
Yeah.
when you the appropriate guidance or mentor to help you go through whatever it is that you're going through. And figuring that out alone is tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it totally changes you in your perspective. I mean, the good news is, we had Gopi Krishna, who's an author about Kundalini awakening. I had Ram Dass. I had Carlos Castaneda. There's plenty to read. Ram Dass was huge. The book Journey to Enlightenment was huge, and it gave me a lot of insight and made me know that I wasn't going crazy. So at least that, right? So.
Reading, there's always self-help out there.
Always, yeah, but and what was shocking to me was how much disdain like people showed me. Like when you have an awakening and you're empathic to begin with, it's like there's no shell, there's no boundaries. So I'm feeling everything people are
Oh,
feeling. For a good 3 months, I was reading minds and seeing two faces on people. Some of that started to fade a little bit, but it was tough, yeah. And let me check in with my questions.
of course.
Um, oh yeah, yeah, you kind of answered this a little bit already, but if you want to expand on maybe how your awakening changed your life views or your views on reality or society and stuff of that nature.
Before even awakening, I was always a very caring, empathetic, compassionate person. But as I awakened and developed more, you know, the world, the way I understood the world, the perspective the lens that I used was different. I was able to then be non-judgmental and have everyone on the same pedestal pretty much and kind of be like that middle person and not say what you're doing is wrong and what you're doing is correct because we live in a world of polarity. So technically there really is no right or wrong. It, there really is no good or evil because without one we cannot have the other. So I was able to be more non-judgmental, much more compassionate. Um, Normally, I have a lot of patience with everybody, but one thing that I learned through this process was to be patient with myself, and that is something that I think everybody needs to work on: is to have patience with yourself. There's no need to rush. Work never gets done, as you know very well. Um, and that's the only way really to move forward is by taking baby steps. And those are, a couple of the few things that I learned through this.
That's wonderful things to learn, and that's so perfect. That's so perfect and so on point. Um, and yeah, so did this have any like influence over? Or actually, what I wanted to ask is, it sounds like you already had some pretty strong intuitive gifts even before your awakening process.
Yeah.
Did that open that up more, or were there new gifts that opened up? As that it was happening after that happened.
Before my depressive stage, I always had this knowing, and I was always a very confident person, thank the universe. And I always, no matter where I was or no matter what I did, there was always this sense of knowing, and it was always pretty, like 9 out of 10 times it was very accurate. I would hear, maybe for example, don't take that route or don't go down that road. And I would listen, but I never knew it was the universe or the angels or whoever may be trying to communicate with me. I just thought that was me in my head because I was just so young. Um, and I will say this. I lost myself. I lost myself for a very long time. And that's when I stopped listening to myself. I stopped listening to my intuition. I stopped listening to my gut responses. And then my life changed. Many would say that it's for the worse, but without this shadow work, I would not be where I am today. So, that being said, listen to yourself always. And the more you listen to yourself, the stronger your intuition becomes, the more confident you become, and the more spiritual awareness you will have. So, after this stage in my life, everything just got stronger and stronger for me to the point where here I am channeling angels, which never in my mind I thought that I would do. For instance, I have a very healing aura, Adam. And I remember in hindsight as a young child, wherever I was in public, if let's say, for example, I went to a restaurant and it was empty or very few people in there, within the matter of minutes, the place would be packed with people. And I'm not the only one that noticed it. People that were always around me noticed it as well. So I was like kind of like this, like the storyteller, like a suspicious storyteller, like a gatherer of people, and they would just come, businesses, wherever I was in church or like in a park. If I was alone or if I was with my mom or a friend, people would just kind of come around, and I think that is the pull of good energy, right? Of healing energy, if you may. And even my daughter notices. My daughter is 10, and she's noticed that quite a bit. So those are one of the few abilities that I was born with. And a lot of times I get confused with being a nurse. I'm not a nurse. But I do heal. I heal just by being around you. I have a very calming aura, um, a very soothing aura, which is why a lot of people wind up telling me things, and they figure out later on that necessarily they didn't mean to tell me, but that's okay. That's something that I'm used to, not the other way around.
Yeah, I can so relate to just about all this stuff. You're not a Libra, are you?
I'm Cancer. I'm a Cancerian.
Another one of those very empathic feeling sign. Yeah, there was a time, way back when, where, I mean, it still happens, but like I'd go to the beach, I'd go somewhere to be by myself. Within an hour, there's a circle of people around me, nowhere else. And then I move and go somewhere else. And I get annoyed by that until somebody, had the decency to tell me, no, it's your energy. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I was like, oh.
Absolutely. You want to be alone or enjoy your time, and you have, someone coming up to you, greeting you and talking. I mean, I would never dismiss anybody. I'm just that kind
Yeah,
of.
well, you're
If
maybe
you
you're a
want to.
little better than I am because I would, but not now, but back in that day, totally. Like, I want to be alone. Why is everybody following me? Ah,
No, I wouldn't do that. No, and I just want to touch on that, not to shine any light on you there, but I think that presence is very important
yeah,
when you are with anybody. Right now, people talk with the phone in their hand or eat with the phone on their table. In my house, there's no devices on the counter when we're together. So the message that you're sending other people is, maybe you're not so important, or maybe I'm waiting for a phone call or a text, or whatever it may be. But I think that presence is very important to have, even with a stranger, because when someone taps into you, you are creating intimacy. You are being present. You are devoted this time to whoever it is that you're talking to, a stranger, a relative, a neighbor, whoever it may be. This person came to you for a reason. You're having a conversation for a reason. So being present is imperative in any kind of conversation. And I think that that's something that a lot of people need to work on, is being present, being in the moment. And that also builds awareness within yourself. It builds mindfulness. um, but I can go on and on here. I just wanted to touch on presence because we were talking about conversing with strangers, and people being distracted with phones in their hands or whatever. I just wanted to point that out.
well, that's important. I'm learning how to be more present in my interviews, so I can be now. I can be with you, and I can have my eye on the comment streams. Earlier on, I just started to do these in December.
Mm.
That was not the case, and I'd be like, what did they just say?" So I
Yeah.
get that, and of course, we talk about presence a lot. Now, you're mentioning a lot about shadow work, and presence and shadow work are two of our favorite topics around here, by the way. And a lot of people are chiming in with the shadow work. I
Mm.
like to call it shadow work integration. I think I don't know if it's David Hawkins, but one of the teachers coined that, or might have even been Carl Jung, because the idea is, our shadows aren't a bad thing. At least that's my perspective. It's the hidden,
Mhm.
and when things are hidden, and if it's fear and ego based, sometimes we suppress our traumas because we don't like to feel pain. Sometimes there's a morality issue that we have a certain amount of moral code, but survival's ugly business.
Mm.
And often we develop these shadows that we hide parts of ourselves so that we don't have to see them. And that creates all kinds of problems or whatever. I don't know if there's anything, I mean, you've talked a lot about shadow work already, but if there's anything that you might want to add to that, feel free. If not, I'll move on to another question.
For
No worries.
sure. Shadow work. I will say that, uh, maybe it doesn't necessarily pertain to shadow work, but being vulnerable is also very important. And I think that it does take a part on that shadow of you, because if when you're having an intimate conversation and you have the ability to be vulnerable, where you're divulging um, information that is not necessarily the most prettiest thing about you, a lot of people see vulnerability as a weakness, and that's actually a strength.
Hmm.
And that is how you develop yourself and you develop intimacy. And that is kind of how you supersede, that shadow. You kind of grow out of it and you evolve and you transcend. So they kind of go hand in hand, if you understand what I'm saying. Vulnerability and shadow work. You have to be very courageous and very strong in order to put a light on your shadow.
Yeah, and then it ceases to be a shadow, and you shine that light of awareness on, and then it gets integrated back to spirit, back where it belongs. Very good. So it's really, in my way of thinking, it's just our own programming, our own conditioning, our own perception. This is bad. This is good. And it's, the ego or our conscious self goes so deep into the subconscious. If it's bad or negative, we just snuff it and pretend it's not there. But Eckhart Tolle, he talks about the pain body. So anyway, excellent, excellent. Excellent. So you guys, they came on late. Of course, when we're done, you can catch the interview from the beginning. It's been another amazing one. So let me see. I just wanted to ask, maybe, where do you see, at this present moment, being present in the now, and I don't know what that's about.
The
Crackle, snap, crackle, pop.
That's the energy.
um, so where was I?
Whereas,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like where you might see your path taking you, as you're moving forward in future present nows.
well, one of my goals is to touch one person at a time,
Mm,
to heal one person at a time. I'm not a fan of working with a big population, as you know. I work on a more intimate level. I would prefer that, um, because I feel a lot, and I think that that's would be a better way to work for me and help other people. So for the future, I'm kind of just going with the flow. And I want to develop my spiritual career. So that's something that I'm working on, constantly brainstorming, reaching out, and networking. Where it goes, who knows? But I do know that whoever I do touch, whoever I speak to, whoever I heal, it does make a profound impact in their life. And I am just so grateful and appreciative to be able to do that and help somebody else succeed. So I just leave it open to the universe, and the universe will direct me to what's best.
I think that's awesome. So you do like private appointments or private healings or channelings or
I do. I do group sessions for Reiki. And I do private, like individual private sessions for Reiki as well. The channeling, I normally post a channel message on my social media. Um, I don't know about channeling with a group or or privately. I don't know about that yet. I still want to work on that. There are other guides that keep on kind of popping in and telling me that I'm going to channel eventually in the future. But right now, I'm at a point where I still need to work on it a little bit more.
yeah, it's all a process, Ralph. Now, is there a contact info? Usually, I get this before you come on, so excuse me. It's been one of those days, catching up, catching up. Oh my God, I have an interview at 7.
Oh,
That kind of a day. Yeah, is there like yeah, I mean, you don't have to. Not, I'll have all the context stuff that Lisa would like to share with us when this becomes a video on the pinned comment. But for now, is there like either website or an email people can reach out
on
to?
Instagram, it's Sekina, Sekinah 2222. You can find me there. Um, you can find
So SAEKINAH 2222,
correct.
and is that like at Gmail or
Yes, it's the same Sekina 2222 at gmail.com.
I'll just post that here just in case
Thank you
people want that
for
info. And once I post it, you can let me know if I messed it up or not. I think I got it right. Akina 2222.
yes, correct.
Oh, okay, beautiful, beautiful. And one last thing. What advice might you have for newbies? People that are starting their spiritual path, starting their awakening process. at this time. A lot of people are having awakenings now.
Yes, yes. It's scary. If this is just coming into your life, it can be
Yeah.
very scary. And fear is only ego based. Fear only lives in your brain. Fear cannot live anyplace else. And having fear, I noticed, was an indicator as to this is when you need to do something. Because if you're not afraid and you're in your comfort zone, then you cannot really progress. So it's all about getting out of your comfort zone and experiencing what life, what the universe wants you to experience so that you can move forward. There is no right or wrong way. You just have to find what works for you. You can read books, you can have a mentor, you can talk to a friend, a relative, but you are your best mentor. You are your best guidance. Listen to yourself, and as I said, the more you listen to yourself, the stronger you will become, the better you will become, and honing in those abilities and making your intuition much more stronger. Being present, presence is imperative. Health, watch what you eat. Please watch what you eat because
Mm.
your body is your gift and your body needs to function. And if your body is not in a healthy state, then that kind of reflects on your spiritual state as well, most likely. Um, so practice breath work, watch what you eat, drink a lot of water, have a routine, keep it consistent. I understand that life is very hectic and busy, but you must practice on working on yourself always because this is the only way that we're going to grow and evolve into what we're meant to be.
Absolutely. Great advice. Great advice. And I might even expand on that a little bit and watch what spiritual sustenance you take in also. And and be, have your boundaries, have all that stuff.
Kind of froze there.
Cut out. Oh, we cut back in.
Adam.
Okay, I hear you, Lisa.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you for like maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden it like cut out, there's like an internet fart. I don't know, but we seem to be back. So what I was saying, what we might have missed it, is I was asking if you have like a YouTube channel at this point, or Instagram or Facebook. If you'd like to share it, I mean, I'll share everything on the pinned comment anyway.
Of course. YouTube, I have a channel, but there's nothing on there.
All right.
I believe I shared the Instagram Sakina2222
Oh,
and
that's your Instagram also. Okay.
yes, and my Gmail Sakina2222 at gmail.com.
All right. Yeah. So it's the same. So IG. I'll just post this for you guys. Is so, so you keep it consistent, which is smart. uh, you just make this legible for them, and yeah, and I'm sure as your YouTube channel comes into existence, that we'll be able to, they'll be able to find that through your email or through your Instagram link and everything like that. So
Absolutely.
wonderful. Also, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts for us, or anything else
Um,
you'd like to share, or
well, I would also like to, say to, for everyone to embrace your weirdness, correct? People
oh,
have a
like
habit of
that.
of saying, "Oh my God, I'm so weird," or "Oh my God, nobody does it." No, embrace your uniqueness, embrace your weirdness because that is you. That is part of the person that you are, and the more you embrace yourself and your weirdness, the more confident you become and the more developed of a person and as a spirit you become. Always try to connect with yourself. And I'm a very big feeler. I feel a lot. I truly do. I don't even want to begin to say how much I feel. And it can go either way. But feel your way through life. Your heart is your internal GPS. It could never steer you wrong.
Oh,
Um, so feel your way through life. We are all multidimensional beings. And how do we learn? We learn through experience and we learn through our senses. We have senses for a reason. And it's the most wonderful thing. The body was made to wonder and to feel and to know. And the more you feel, the more you learn and the more you can tap in. And try not to suppress your feelings. Feel them, acknowledge them, and then let them go.
don't be afraid to feel it, y'all. And then when they wrote the book on empath, they're writing the book about me. So I spent too many decades of my life suppressing my feelings, afraid to feel
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Absolutely. And I think that's perfect to end on. I think that's awesome. So, again, you guys are the chimed in a little late. Well, you can come back to the beginning and hear the rest of the interview there. And see, I'll just flash this comment because that's a good ad. Also, thank you so much. Um, all right, so we're gonna say good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
We love you. On May 21st, we have God, I can't remember her last name. Oh my God. Well, we have Betty. What the heck's her last name? She comes to the Hudson Valley a lot. You might know who she is. Betty Hansen, is it? Or
Hmm.
okay,
I'll
I
have to.
apologize, but we have a really good, very very advanced healer and teacher coming for our next awakening interview on Sunday the 21st, the Sunday after Mother's Day.
Wonderful.
And all right, thank you everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Much
you're
love.
welcome. My pleasure. And thanks for being here. It was awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam.
Bye.
Bye bye.